If ever there was an example of a political party shooting itself in the foot and creating its own crisis out of thin air, the case of how the Victorian Liberal Party handled the sacking of women's rights activist and MP Moira Deeming is such an example. What could have been handled with a simple explanation turned into a political nightmare for Victorian Liberal leader John Pesutto that has gone on for more than a year and is now before the courts as the MP he sacked sues him for defamation. And while we of course can't comment on the case itself, and it's up to the court to decide if there was any defamation, it could spell the end of Pesutto's career politically just on the basis of bad handling of an important issue. Moira Deeming was a newly elected young female Liberal MP in the Victorian State Parliament. She's a women's rights campaigner and campaigns against transgender rights that might infringe on the rights of biological women. She spoke last year at a rally called Let Women Speak with a visiting British activist, Kelly J. Keane, also known as Posy Parker online. The former federal Liberal candidate, Catherine Deves, was also at that rally, and so was a left-wing Jewish feminist called Angie Jones. All was well until neo-Nazis gag-crashed the rally and started doing Nazi salutes. Deeming was first suspended from the party and then eventually sacked. As we said, she's now suing John Pesutto for defamation over a press release that he put out implying that she was herself a neo-Nazi. That trial started this week and it'll go for about 3 weeks. So now we get to hear all the juicy stuff come out in court, like a recording of a meeting between Deeming and 4 of her fellow Liberal MPs before she was sacked. Deeming's lawyer is arguing in court that they had no intention of keeping her in the party and they were going to sack her no matter what she did, and that she was being gaslit and bullied in that meeting. So the recording is an important part of the evidence. The Australian newspaper got some actors in to reenact some of the meeting for its morning podcast, The Front, with Claire Harvey. I want to play you a bit of that, and then we'll get to our panel comment. But first of all, I want to play you some actual audio, which is clear enough to hear. This is Victorian Liberal leader John Pesutto himself. This is the actual recording of him in that meeting with Moira Deeming and 3 other MPs on March 19. This is happening as the story about the rally was breaking, but before it had really blown up around Moira.
So the Nazi protesters arrive, and whether you like it or not, when the media and everybody looking at it, whether we like it or not, whether we dispute it vehemently or not, when the media see that, they see them attached to you, they see them attached to me, they see them attached to us. And now we've got a problem, a huge problem now, because people think, rightly or wrongly, that we walk in lockstep with Nazi protesters and Nazis. And I'm getting clobbered, not just on social media, I'm getting messages from people now, and that will build. This is not going away. This is actually going to, I think, intensify as a story.
Now that is some of the weirdest stuff I have ever heard, and I've got a background in crisis communications and I've been in my share of crisis meetings. To say that he would be associated with Nazis because Moira went to a rally where some Nazis showed up is just utter nonsense. And it shows, in my humble opinion, that Pesutto's political judgment is just woeful. Any thoughts on hearing that, Graham?
I feel like giving him a Nazi salute.
We're not
allowed to do it.
It's illegal.
Isn't that amazing?
It's illegal.
Look, the bit of background to this, it's not about the Nazis at all. Moira was the teacher, and she was particularly offended by the fact of the safe school stuff that they had to teach in Victoria. Yes. And there was one of the reasons she left teaching. And
the Safe Schools program is a pro-LGBTQI plus program that really drove some unscientific stuff about gender.
Yeah, I think they were teaching 8-year-olds it's okay to change your gender, right? And it's, most people would say this is bloody rubbish, but now Deeming was talking about this at the actual thing where the Nazis, supposed Nazis walked in. Oh, come through, guys. They're probably off-duty coppers. Anyway, it succeeded because it certainly blew it up. But a bit of background. My wife said I'm not allowed to say that the LNP's been taken over by the gay staffers. She said, don't say that. So I'm not saying that because I don't think that's the case. But there's certainly a very big influence from these people in Victoria and in Queensland as well. These people are economically conservative, but they are socially progressive. And one of their big issues, I am told, it's a bit of inside information in Victoria, is this trans stuff. And at the base of it, this is what it's about.
Well, let me just comment on that, because not all gay people are left-wing.
No.
So what's really going on is left-wing infiltration of the Liberal Party, if that, or not infiltration, but left-wing occupation of the bureaucracy.
Well, it's the staffer class, but they have got this view, and it's a very big issue for them. And they see that, they think that the Liberal Party position, which is in support of it, is in the mainstream of the LNP membership, which it's bloody not. Moira Deeming is right on the mark here. So I've been told that this is what it's really about. So there's a
disconnect between Moira Deeming, who represents what most people who are members of the Liberal Party in Victoria would think, and then you've got these staffers inside the government, the opposition rather, inside the opposition in government roles, or inside the party and party roles.
That's right.
Who are left-wing, who are pushing this agenda because they sympathise with they're LGBTQI as opposed to just
on
LBG.
that issue.
Yeah, right.
And they see Moira as the devil, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it's. How else do you explain that there's probably going to be $2 million spent, right? Moira's obviously got someone funding her, and someone's funding Prosciutto, and there's going to be $2 million blown away in the wind. For what purpose? There's got to be something underlying, and it's not about the Nazi salutes and what have you. It's really this core issue. This is an existential fight going on. And I think the people, the members of the Liberal Party down there, better start thinking about getting rid of the 5 that were bullying Moira, because there's no place for those people in a conservative political party.
No. Well, before we get the other guys' thoughts, let's have a little listen to some of the 5. We're going to go with the audio of the reenactment that the Australian newspaper did for its podcast, its morning podcast. So we'll roll the first bit of this meeting reenactment from the Australian. Let's hear it now.
During the meeting, Deeming tells Prosciutto she had no idea the Nazis were attending.
The first time I saw them doing a Nazi salute was when they were being ushered by the police, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, there are Nazis here, that's terrible, but at least the police are taking them away. That's it. Very obviously, I'm not a Nazi, and I don't support Nazis.
Another MP, Deputy Liberal leader David Southwick, says,
do you want to be part of a team? This team? The actions of every individual reflect on our team. And as a Jew, in terms of what happened on those steps and the people that you associate with in that video afterwards is highly offensive. And I respect that you're able to have your views.
Deeming replies,
but honestly, what views do you think I have legitimately that are so terrible? Like, do you actually think that I'm some kind of secret Nazi?
The issues that I have are more about the group that you associate with, that have associations and have been associated with known Nazis.
Okay, Rob McMullen, this is getting a little bit silly, don't you think? And we've reached a point where it's not, what you think, it's what the person that you're standing next to's friend who's over there, or who might be loosely associated with these, or these people that showed up at this rally you went to. You got to worry about what all they think as well before you can.
What it stood out to me is the absolute asymmetry of resources being spent. For the sake of some goons in some balaclavas made in China and a cheaply printed sign, they've forced this huge expenditure from the Liberal Party and Moira Deeming, like a couple of years legal fees. What I'm saying is
this is a win for the neo-Nazis of Victoria.
They've given them incredible power. For the sake of this minute amount of effort on that day, look at the fallout.
Well, this speaks to how absolutely piss weak the Liberal Party are. Doesn't it?
The Labor Party did one, but they weren't bloody Nazis. There were 10 guys come in with masks on, black shirts, whatever. The coppers knew them because they waved them through. They're probably off-duty coppers.
You can't say that.
Well, I don't have any evidence of that. But
as an ex-copper, do you take offence at this, mate?
A little bit, but not entirely. But let me say, Damien. Let me say that it's unfathomable, and ludicrous. Like Blind Freddy could see that Moira Deeming is not associated with a neo-Nazi. I've heard her enough to understand that she shares no philosophy with Nazis, and clearly the organised attendance of that group of people at that rally was for no reason other than to diminish the social standing of the rally and Moira Deeming. So the ludicrous part is that the Liberals would somehow turn this into something.
Yeah, well, it's just shooting themselves in the head. And so, in fact, I think there was, where is it? Somebody actually said that. What? Victorian Liberal leader, this is in the Australian this week, Victorian Liberal leader John Pizzuto was warned by a party veteran and ally that his move to expel Moira Deeming was tantamount to, quote, shooting ourselves in the head.
Yeah, well,
According to minutes of a March 27 party room meeting that were leaked to the Australian.
Oh, but you couldn't make it up, could you?
like Graham says,
So they've given incredible power to any group of 10 blokes in black t-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. Another senior Liberal told Pizzuto that the effect of the expulsion motion would be to label Ms Deeming as a Nazi, which was like calling someone a murderer, a rapist or a pedophile. While a third said that he believed the behaviour of Mr Pizzuto and Ms Deeming had been absolutely appalling. Wow. Okay, this has got to be the end of Pizzuto, hasn't it, Graham?
Oh, he's misinformation laws now.
Probably has, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, seriously, how could Pizzuto lead any political party? I mean, what a clown.
Yeah, it is
just a clown.
Like Graham says, it doesn't make sense, and I've long said when things don't make sense, when they just don't add up, you've got to look behind them and go, what's the real reason for this? Now, I don't know the real reason, but I'll bet London to a brick there's a reason.
Do you think so? Because I just think it's incompetence.
I think it's so insane that they would do this to themselves. There's got to be something else. No.
Okay, so you reckon it's the safe schools thing. You reckon it's the agenda of the radical far left, LGBTQI plus
got a bit of
involvement.
Yeah,
right?
got a bit of inside goss, so that it is.
Okay.
It's that issue of the trans stuff. I mean, you've got the gay staffers, probably all wonderful people. On this issue, they are being blinded by.
Well, let's just be clear, they're radical leftist gay. They're not. There are plenty of conservative gays out there that would be appalled by this.
Oh no, they're economically conservative. It's only on the social issue. You see, so they're twixy, a bit AC/DC on this stuff, I suppose. They're putting a bit of light humour into it.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah. So that's what it is, and this is a real existential threat for them. The party have got to address this. You can't have a takeover. You can't have a small group who are influencing the politicians, who are weak by definition, utterly weak, I should say, sharp and set down.
Well, I've never heard anything like that soundbite we played from Pizzuto. That was the most ridiculous, pathetic, but I guess as you say...
reading a script.
I mean, their job is to represent their constituents, and clearly they're not doing that. They are clearly representing themselves or other groups, but they're not representing their constituents.
I mean, if they're too scared to actually, fight for the other side of the debate, then the people don't have representation. That's the thing is, you need to, conservatives need to be confident, strong enough to grow a bit of a spine and say, well, this is the other side of the issue that people want represented. Have the fight, have the social fight, and then with that conflict, you'll find a resolution where it's like, okay, well, these are the different arenas that people want different things, reciprocity, as we've talked about a lot of the time, but you're not going to get a reciprocal resolution if the people that are representing the other side of the debate aren't doing that, and they're too scared to do it, and they run for cover every time someone prints out an offensive sign and stands next to a Liberal MP.
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
I'll just lastly say our side, the Conservative side, they're supposed to fight for freedom, and that's how we started this particular segment, and doing that requires bravery. Freedom is not easy, and you've got to be brave, and I don't see it.
And
they've got to fight.
We're not being represented by the current Liberal Party, probably.
They've got to fight. I don't care what they fight about, just start fighting, guys. I mean, if you fight, then the other side won't keep doing everything that they want to do.
But not
because
only
know
don't they fight, they let the Labor and the Greens and the left constantly set the parameters. They set the fighting ring, the gymnasium, everything's set up. Now come into our territory and try and fight us and win. No wonder the Liberals are gutless and scared. They need to move the whole game and start bringing up issues that matter to people and start representing the other half of Australia that they're supposed to represent, that are actually out there desperate, I believe, desperate for representation and some leadership and some strength.
Well, we're free
absolutely.
people, Damien. We're supposed to be free people. And
Yep.
it's worth
On that
fighting
note,
for.
guys, we might wrap it up. If you don't have any final comments, but I just want to say thank you very much for coming on. We've talked about some really important topics this week on the show. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Our three wise men, and we would like to get you back to do this probably every 4 to 6 weeks. We'll do an episode like this and have three wise gentlemen in the room. Our millennial Rob McMullen, our Generation X Scott Pelto, and our baby boomer extraordinaire, Mr. Graham Haycroft. Did you know that for every 2 to 3 teachers in Australia working hard in classrooms across the country, there is one taxpayer-funded bureaucrat sitting behind a desk doing admin and making and enforcing rules and regulations that make those teachers' jobs even harder? That's right, one bureaucrat for every 2 to 3 frontline teachers. That's how bloated our public service has become. But you'll never hear about it from the regular teachers' unions because they also represent many of those public servants. So says the leading alternative teachers' union in Australia, the TPAA. If you're a teacher, it's time to change to a union that will not only look after you without using your money to support the Labor Party, but which is taking on the government education system to sidestep those bureaucrats and use the savings to pay all teachers 25% more. The current waste must stop. All the red tape doesn't just suck up resources and time, it actually takes the teachers away from teaching our kids, and it wastes their time filling in crazy paperwork for meddling bureaucrats. So join the union that will actually stand up against big bloated government. Join the TPAA, the Teachers Professional Association of Australia. To find out more, just Google TPAA. The TPAA's fees are half the price because none of your money goes to any political party. And as an Other Side viewer, if you use our special code, OtherSide1, when you sign up, you'll get a further $100 off your first year's fees as a rebate on your first payments. Go to tpaa.redunion.com.au, tpaa.redunion.com.au to sign up now for a better union and support the Other Side too by supporting our sponsors. Thank you, teachers, you legends. If you like that clip, there's more where that came from in our full show, The Other Side. You can watch it right here, the latest episode. And please subscribe to our channel by pressing the subscribe button right here or down here. And remember to click that notification bell too. It all helps. Join us and become part of The Other Side.